"I have lost everything." These words, spoken by Mariam Aziz after her high-profile court case, tell a story of betrayal that will shock you. She went from being a queen to becoming a warning for others. We'll explore the lies that led to Mariam's downfall. Her story involves fortune tellers and fake millionaires, making you wonder who you can really trust. Are you curious to see what's behind the royal image? The royal fairy tale begins. Mariam Aziz's journey from flight attendant to princess was a remarkable transformation. Born into a family with English and Japanese ancestry, Mariam worked for Royal Brunei Airlines. Her competence and likability caught the eye of those around her, leading to a transfer that would change everything. On the Sultan's private aircraft, Mariam met Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah, sparking a whirlwind romance. They married on October 28, 1981, and Mariam became the Sultan's second wife, with the grand title Duli Yang Teramat Mulia Pengiran Istri. The contrast between Mariam's previous life and her new royal status was dramatic. She entered a world of luxury and palatial surroundings, far beyond anything she had known before. As a royal consort, Mariam took on new roles of influence, becoming the colonel-in-chief of the Royal Brunei Malay Regiment's Women's Company and championing women's contributions to the armed forces. However, the strict rules and expectations placed on royal wives presented challenges Mariam could never have imagined in her previous life. Initially, Mariam adapted to her royal role with grace. She embraced her duties and gave birth to 4 children: Prince Abdul Aim, Princess Azima, Princess Faila, and Prince Abdul Matan. The couple also adopted a daughter, Afifa Abdullah. From the outside, it seemed Mariam had seamlessly transitioned into her new life, but beneath the surface, tensions were brewing. Mariam's admiration for the Sultan's strength was tempered by resentment over the control he exerted in her life. The pressure to produce heirs, maintain a flawless public image, and navigate the complex dynamics of royal life began to take its toll. As time went on, the cracks in this royal facade would only grow wider. Cracks in the royal facade. Mariam's fairy tale life was about to unravel. While the world saw a devoted wife and mother, the reality behind palace walls was far more complex. What unseen pressures were pulling at the seams of her relationship with the Sultan, and how would they ultimately lead to its collapse? As the years passed, the cracks in Mariam's royal marriage began to show. The public image of perfection masked a growing unhappiness that threatened to consume her. The Sultan's polygamous lifestyle created significant tension in their relationship. As his second wife, Mariam had to navigate the emotional minefield of sharing her husband with other women. The pressure to produce heirs and maintain a flawless appearance never eased. Mariam felt suffocated by the expectations placed upon her as a royal wife. Every public appearance required meticulous preparation, and the scrutiny was relentless. The weight of these responsibilities left Mariam feeling increasingly isolated within the palace. As time went on, the distance between Mariam and the Sultan grew. The once passionate romance that had swept her off her feet now felt like a distant memory. The control the Sultan exerted over every aspect of her life became stifling, and resentment began to build. The breaking point came silently, away from the public eye. On February 2, 2003, Prince Sufri, the Sultan's brother, made a shocking announcement. Mariam and the Sultan had divorced under Brunei's Sharia Islamic law. The reasons were never disclosed, leaving the world to speculate about what had finally shattered their union. Mariam's departure from the palace marked the end of her royal life. But little did she know, leaving the opulent world she had known for over 2 decades was just the beginning of her troubles. From princess to pauper. Freedom from palace life came at a staggering cost for Mariam. Her next chapter reveals a dark side of life after royalty that few could have predicted. After leaving the palace, Mariam initially maintained a lavish lifestyle. She resided in luxurious homes and continued to indulge in high-end shopping sprees. But beneath the surface, financial troubles were brewing. The divorce settlement, while substantial, couldn't sustain her extravagant habits indefinitely. As her funds dwindled, Mariam faced mounting legal and financial challenges. The courts became a battleground as she fought to secure what she believed was rightfully hers. But with each passing day, her grip on her former wealth slipped further away. In a desperate bid to reclaim her fortune, Mariam made a series of poor financial decisions. She turned to gambling, which quickly spiraled into an addiction. She spent countless hours in high-stakes casinos, placing increasingly risky bets. At the same time, she invested in questionable schemes and trusted the wrong people with her money. Each misstep pushed her her closer to the brink of disaster. As her world crumbled around her, Mariam hit rock bottom. The woman who once had everything now found herself with nothing. In a heart-wrenching public admission, she uttered the words that would come to define this chapter of her life: "I have lost everything." The extent of Mariam's financial losses was staggering. From royal riches, she had plummeted to the depths of poverty. But even in her darkest hour, Mariam's story was far from over. The former princess was about to face even more shocking betrayals that would test her resilience like never before. Betrayal and deception. When Mariam thought she had hit rock bottom, she discovered there were even darker depths to explore. A chance encounter with a fortune teller named Mrs. Amir would set in motion a series of events that would strip Mariam of her last shreds of dignity. How did this seemingly innocent meeting lead to Mariam's complete downfall? In the aftermath of her divorce, Mariam found herself adrift in a world she barely recognized. Desperate for guidance and comfort, she turned to Mrs. Amir, a charismatic fortune teller known for her mystical abilities. Mrs. Amir's warm demeanor and sympathetic ear provided the solace Mariam craved. During their sessions, Mariam poured out her fears and vulnerabilities, including her concerns about her ex-husband's health. Mrs. Amir began to exert a subtle but powerful influence over Mariam's decisions. She suggested elaborate rituals and costly offerings, claiming they would attract positive energy and good fortune. Mariam, eager to regain control of her life, followed these instructions without question. The deception deepened when Mrs. Amir introduced Mariam to a man she called Mr. Aziz, claiming he possessed great spiritual wisdom. Their conversations left Mariam feeling hopeful and understood, cementing her reliance on both Mrs. Amir and Mr. Aziz. In reality, Mr. Aziz was a fictional character created by Mrs. Amir to further exploit Mariam's vulnerability. Through this elaborate scheme, Mrs. Amir manipulated Mariam into making expensive spiritual investments, assuring her that each purchase would protect her from negative energies and lead her to peace. Mariam complied, sending money and gifts, her resources dwindling with each transaction. The facade finally crumbled when Mariam overheard a conversation that revealed the shocking truth. Mrs. Amir and Mr. Aziz were one and the same. This devastating revelation left Mariam emotionally shattered and financially ruined. In the aftermath, she spiraled into risky behaviors, including gambling, in a desperate attempt to regain control. But Mariam's story was far from over. In the face of such betrayal, she was about to make a decision that would shock the world and change her life forever. A princess speaks out. After years of silence, Mariam finally decided to speak. Her decision came from a deep need to reclaim her voice after being controlled and silenced for so long. In a shocking interview, she lifted the veil on life inside the palace walls. Mariam revealed a culture of oppressive control, where every aspect of her life was monitored and dictated. She spoke of the suffocating pressure to produce heirs, the constant scrutiny of her appearance, and the emotional toll of sharing her husband with multiple wives. Mariam's revelations sent shockwaves through Brunei and beyond. These intimate details painted a picture of royal life that was far from the fairy tale many had imagined. The public reaction to her interview was mixed. Some praised her bravery, while others accused her of betraying the royal family. The palace itself remained tight-lipped, but rumors swirled of their fury at her indiscretion. For Mariam, the aftermath of her revelations brought unexpected challenges. She faced legal threats and financial retaliation from the royal family. Some of her former friends and allies distanced themselves, fearing association with her. However, Mariam also found new supporters and opportunities. Human rights organizations reached out, offering her a platform to advocate for women's rights in Brunei. She began writing a memoir, determined to share her full story with the world. But Mariam's journey was far from over. Her bold decision to speak out had set in motion a series of events that would continue to shape her life in dramatic ways. What would be the long-term consequences of her actions, and how would the royal family respond to her continued defiance? The next chapter of Mariam's story was about to unfold. Mariam Aziz's journey from royal princess to financial ruin shows how quickly fortunes can change. Her story exposes the pressures and isolation of royal life. Despite facing betrayal and loss, Mariam's resilience shines through. Today, Mariam's relationship with the Brunei royal family remains strained. Her decision to speak out has had ongoing consequences, yet her bravery in sharing her experiences has inspired others to find their voice. Mariam's dramatic fall from grace raises important questions about the true cost of royal privilege. Her story reveals that the glitter of royal life often comes at a high price, one's freedom and identity. As we've seen, the trade-off between privilege and personal autonomy is rarely simple. What are your thoughts on Mariam's courageous story? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more royal reveals.